After experiencing a life-or-death situation which did result in the cadets losing a colleague and Starfleet losing a battle with Nusbraka, it seems natural that this week things would slow down and give our characters a chance to breathe. In Cosine, we are given what feels like a filler episode, and the question is this needed? The answer is yes, because this episode isn't just about the plot. It's about giving the cadets, and us, the audience, a chance to recover and for us to spend more time diving into their relationships. It's been 4 weeks since the events aboard the Miyazaki, and the cadets are still processing their trauma. It's also All Worlds Day, and the campus is being locked down while most of the cadets are visiting family. However, Caleb and Genesis are left behind while Jaden ends up chasing after Darum after watching him be kidnapped in a Kionian pre-wedding ritual. An action that was unthinkable in episode 1 is now instinctual reaction for Jaden, telling us more about their relationship than any speech. Plot-wise, very little happens, which is exactly the point, though we still manage to get further character development and a first for Star Trek. One of the things I have consistently praised Starfleet Academy for is that each episode will focus on a character and their development. This episode goes further by developing relationships. Due to the name of the episode, with Cosine essentially meaning best man in Kionian, the main focus of this episode is Darum and his relationship with Jaden. We have seen Darum change over time. Now, yes, he is still an asshole at times, but he has shown that he now acknowledges that others are as capable as he is and that he cares for others, none more so than Jaden. When Darum is faced with the prospect of having to give up on his dream of Starfleet, the fact that he is willing to do so shows that he has become a more selfless character. He does still have his flaws, and an outburst with Jaden causes him to walk away from the Cosine role. However, when Jaden returns and gives his speech, speaking about Darum's dedication to duty and to those around him, Darum's fiancée recognizes that he is no longer the man she agreed to marry and insists he calls off the wedding. Considering the first meeting of Darum and Jaden was them squaring off against each other over Darum's treatment of Caleb, that they are now both there for each other shows the evolution of their relationship. There is even an acknowledgement of Darum's treatment of Kyle, which hints at a little jealousy of that relationship, but also a begrudging acceptance. And talking of that relationship, Star Trek has always been a show with progressive attitude and has not shied away from it. When Kirk and Uhura had the first televised interracial kiss, it actually led to the show being boycotted in several TV stations in conservative American states. And this has continued throughout Star Trek's history, with marginalized groups always being given prominence. And while we have been waiting for it to be made official, this episode makes it so and confirms Jaden as Star Trek's first gay Klingon. Whilst this may be little surprise to anyone, the fact that the relationship between Jaden and Kyle was treated so offhandedly is exactly the right thing to do. We didn't need a big coming out scene where Jaden tells every character in the show that he is gay. Just having him be in a relationship with Kyle normalizes something that should be trivial. And quiet normalization does more for representation than any dramatic speech ever could. My only complaint is that we didn't get to see Jaden rocking the shirts in Ibiza. In the other story in this episode, we see Caleb and Genesis remain in the academy as others join their families. Caleb opens up to Genesis and confesses that he hasn't spoken to Terima since the incident on the Miyazaki 4 weeks ago. Unknown to Caleb, Genesis is going to be recommended for the command pathway, but has doubts about it. The banter between them feels relaxed as Caleb and Genesis continue to open up to each other. In the context of this episode where we are exploring the changing relationships of our character, this B story gives greater depth to the relationship between Caleb and Genesis, and honestly, based on this episode, they seem to be a better match than Caleb and Terima. We still haven't had a full episode for Genesis, though, and this is the closest that we get. She is recommended by Ake for the command track, and while initially excited, she uses Caleb to gain access to the bridge so she can try and get access to her application to Starfleet Academy. It feels like her story is being drip-fed over this season, and we are due some answers, such as, who is her mysterious Admiral father? This is a strange episode. Some are calling it a filler episode, and whilst this is true, this feels like it is in the mold of the Next Generation's episode Family, the follow-up to Best of Both Worlds, an episode where the trauma experienced in the last one is allowed to settle before we pick up the story again. There isn't a clear failure here. The episode works. We have some good character development, deepening of interpersonal relationships, and two interesting enough stories. However, after the pace and high stakes of the previous two episodes, the change of pace is too jarring. I'd also like the writers to stop teasing about Genesis' background and actually give her some time as the focal point. As I said previously, Genesis' story has been drip-fed all season. At some point, the show needs to commit. One of the things that made classic Trek so much fun was that over the course of a season, you would have your episodes that would become memorable. Think TNG's The Inner Light, or DS9's Past Tense, or Voyager's Equinox. But for every one of these, you would then have a couple of filler or bottle episodes like Data's Day, Take Me Out to the Holosuite, or Fairhaven. Those worked beautifully in 24-episode seasons, with seasons now running at 10 episodes though. Whilst it's nice that we can still have these types of episodes, I just hope it doesn't pull focus away from major season plot points. And there you have it. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and if you want to join the discussion, you will need to be subscribed, which also helps me push towards that 1,000 subscriber goal. So if you enjoyed this video and you want to see more, make sure you like and subscribe. Thanks for watching.